Well, good morning, everyone. And once again, welcome to another live here. Let me see if I can get a little bit more light. I'm out on in Denver this morning. Let me see here if we can do a little bit better. Okay. It's a little dark in here. At least my eyes are. I can see, but how are you guys doing? John, how are you? Brahim, how is you? In Denver, Colorado this morning. Andrea, Michael, how are you? Good to see you. Sue, good morning. Can you hear me? That's all I care about is whether you can hear me, whether you see. Janice, how are you? Fran from Orangeville, good morning. Gloria, New York. Nick from our staff. Nick says I look great. Nick, you need glasses. Sandy, how are you? Rita. And Brahim's got his coffee. Me too, Brahim, I do. And Georgie, Halifax, Nova Scotia, good morning. Bruno, how are you? Rita. Snowy. Wasaga. Okay, Wendy, how you doing? Kevin, there he is from Oshawa. And Gertie from Burlington, good morning. Arlene, how are you? Doc McEwen, how's Denver? You're asking me. Diane, how are you? Beautiful. Denver's beautiful. Gary, Karen, those mountains, just sort of forgotten how beautiful it is. Dale, Jean from Windsor. And Nancy, good morning to you. Lynn, we can hear and you can see. Okay, that's all I need. Okay, we'll figure out the lighting next time. Anna, Marilyn, Kelowna, and Sue, good. Okay, and who was that there? Bonnie, Yvonne, a couple more guys and we'll get going. Judy, okay, I'm glad. If you can hear me and see me, Luella, West Tennessee, Denise in Oakville, and Milika from Stouffville, Moses from California, Sherry's from Mississauga, Linda, St. Jude, Quebec, Lise, how are you? Bon matin de Hilleberry, Ontario. Diane, how are you? And I think that was Amber, but Lori, couldn't see. Yeah, you know what? Having trouble now. Madeleine, how are you from Kippawa, Quebec? Carol, yeah, it is 2 hours early, so it's 6:30 or whatever it is in the morning. Okay, let me see. We got some stories we're doing here. And let's see. Here's a question that I got that I didn't answer. I meant to answer it yesterday. A question I got on if my blood sugar is normal, does that mean I'm in good shape? Well, look, I think it's a good question, but remember, I was saying this to someone on the plane yesterday, that diabetes is the last thing to happen, okay? Not the first thing to happen. Your body tightly regulates blood sugar. You have an organ dedicated to it, your pancreas, dedicated to keeping your blood sugar not too low and certainly not high, because sugar is toxic, and sugar left unattended in your bloodstream will damage your blood vessels. Way before you ever get a diagnosis of diabetes. This is why, guys, I really want you guys to obviously take care of yourself. Before taking care of anyone else, take care of yourself, okay? So you guys get this, understand the importance of taking A1C. I go back to A1C because it's one of my favorite tests for blood sugar, okay? If you can get fasting insulin and whatever, doctors usually don't do it, but if they do it, good. What I like better is A1C, because A1C is an average of your blood sugar If you are above 5.4, okay? If you're above 5.4 with your A1C, that's an average. Be careful, okay? If you're into the 5.6s, the 5.7s, be extremely careful, because that right there is telling you that sugar, your blood sugar, is in trouble, okay? Like 5.4, that's sort of the cutoff line. If you're above 5.4, you and carbs don't get along. You and sugar, nobody gets along with sugar, by the way, okay? And I'm not saying you're never, ever gonna have it. I'm just saying that nobody gets along with it. But look for your A1C. And if you know the blood tests that I like, A1C, what is metabolic syndrome? Your blood sugar is slightly elevated, blood pressure possibly slightly elevated, belly fat, high triglycerides, low HDL. Those are really, guys, really, really, really important, okay? Uric acid. I throw uric acid in. For years, people question that. Uric acid, that's only for gout. I said, no, uric acid is a measurement of inflammation in the body. It tells you that your liver and your kidneys, if your uric acid is elevated, it's telling you that your liver and your kidneys are under stress. And a lot of people don't realize it because they never get uric acid tested. Why? Because they're not looking for gout. The only thing they have in their head, oh, I don't have gout. But uric acid is a biomarker. And one of the things that influences uric acid almost more than anything else, because somebody was asking about this on our private Facebook group yesterday, or perhaps the day before. They were asking about gout, and my doctor said, well, get off the meats and all that. Guys, I'm telling you, purines have very little to do with uric acid. Uric acid, everybody has uric acid. If it's elevated, it's a biomarker. Your liver's under stress and your kidneys are under stress. And one of the things that drives that is insulin and insulin resistance. And the other thing is fructose. Fructose. Okay? Now, let me give you another study that came out. See if I can pick it up here. Just on my, this one came out yesterday. The association between triglycerides and your glucose index, okay? I'll break that down in a second. But here's what it says. Association between triglycerides and glucose index and mortality in patients with atrial fib. Okay? Now, let me break that down. Atrial fib. Okay? Remember, your heart, it's not only a pump, but it's an electrical grid. Okay? The heart is an electrical grid. Atrial fib is when that electrical grid, especially in the upper chambers of the heart, are not working properly. Okay? So, let me just give you a few symptoms. I wrote them down here. Okay? Heart palpitations, low energy, shortness of breath, trouble exercising, lightheadedness and dizziness, fainting, low blood pressure, blood clots, chest pain, fluid buildup there's a lot of things here, fluid buildup in the legs, and these are possible signs of atrial fib, okay? And causes of atrial fib, heart disease, obviously, sleep apnea. Isn't that interesting? Now, we've talked about sleep apnea. And on this program, The Doctor Is In podcast, okay? We talk about sleep apnea a lot. And what is it? Fatty tongue. How do you get fatty tongue? Remember yesterday when we talked about 2 growth hormones? Okay? 2 growth hormones. Insulin, cortisol. Insulin, estrogen. Cortisol pours gasoline on growth. Okay? Insulin, estrogen. Now, when it comes to sleep apnea, insulin is a big driver of that. They call it fatty tongue. The tongue gets bigger. I thought the tongue got bigger if you talk too much. Nope. They tell you that the tongue, its fatty tongue, is one of the major causes of sleep apnea. And sleep apnea is one of the major causes of atrial fib. When it's funny, you go back into the 70s, never saw sleep apnea. I didn't even know what it was in school. I'm not kidding you. Anyway, we laugh about it. But, okay. So this study is showing that in atrial fib, one of the biggest indicators that you look for, and I guarantee this is stuff that 99% of physicians never even think of. If you got atrial fib, a physician is trying to, they might do an ablation or whatever to fix the problem if they can, but they just try and manage it. And one of the things they use are blood thinners so that, because you're always more at risk of having a stroke with atrial fib, so they thin your blood out. But causation, look what this study says. I'll read it to you again. The association between triglycerides and glucose. Again, what does that mean? We're going back to metabolic syndrome. It's one of the reasons we're seeing so much atrial fib today. Okay? So what I did in my office with patients who had atrial fib, diet. I always started with the diet. Cut your carbs down, cut your sugars down. That will lower your triglycerides. It'll lower your glucose, okay? It'll lower your A1C. Start with that. And then 2 things I always saw with atrial fib, in my opinion, huge deficiencies with atrial fib, and I used to put my patients on this protocol. And that is, 1, I'd have them on magnesium, okay? Because usually they were very low in magnesium, and I would have them on CoQ10, ubiquinol, for the battery packs within the heart, to get that super electrical grid working properly again. CoQ10, ubiquinol, okay? I'd put them on that. Of course, we were measuring their vitamin D levels, and they were usually low in vitamin D, oftentimes low in B12 too, yada, yada, yada. Always looking for deficiencies and fixing those. Anyways, interesting on atrial fib, okay? This came out in a study, okay? A terrifying chart shows how COVID-19, okay, we're going back, but this, now what's happening is we're analyzing, okay? We're analyzing. And they're doing studies, okay, on that virus and what could have prevented. Now, I brought this to you before, but listen, this is new. This is right now, okay? Terrifying chart, okay? Let me post this chart afterwards. Shows how COVID-19 patients who ended up in the hospital may, okay, I'm just reading the headlines to you, may be almost certain to die if they have vitamin D deficiency. What? Yeah. Did you hear it be here before? Vitamin D and a virus, your immune system, okay? 98.9% of people that went to the hospital where they studied vitamin D, 98.9% were deficient, okay? 87.8% were insufficient. And only, these are the COVID death rate by vitamin D levels. Deficient in deaths, 98%. If a person died, you can almost be sure of COVID, they were deficient in vitamin D, okay? That's an important correlation. That's another study, okay? Okay, let me see here. Well, this is interesting. Replacing junk foods with whole foods reduced violence by 80% in prison. It's a perfect place to do studies, right? They're not going anywhere. And this study showed, okay, in prisons, replacing junk food with whole foods reduced violence by 80%. Do you think there's some correlation there between food and mental health? Big time. Isn't that interesting? Wow. Okay, let me just see here. This one here. Okay, this is exercise again with exercise triggers a boost in brain-derived neurotrophic factor, okay? Exercise, again, vitamin E, guys, vitamin E, one of the best things you can do for yourself. What does it trigger? BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It regenerates the brain. Okay? It regenerates the brain. Vitamin E, the real vitamin E. Exercise. Move, guys. And the best exercise, we say it all the time, get strong. Stronger, get stronger. I don't care how old you are. Get stronger. You are going to help yourself and you help your noggin there. Oh, look at this. Drinking coffee every day could reduce your risk of cancer. Another study. Another study on vitamin C. The real one. Drinking coffee every day could. This is in the sciencedaily.com. This is where I got it. Okay, let me just read the, that's the headline. A meta-analysis of previous studies. And that meta-analysis studies are the best studies. They look at all the studies and then indicates a positive effect showing a reduced risk of certain cancers among coffee drinkers. Guys, drink your coffee. Isn't it wonderful? You can have tea too, but tea's not coffee, okay? Tea's not coffee. It's not as good as that. Head and neck cancers, especially, they're saying. Head and neck cancers. You know what we're seeing a lot of today? One of the cancers is esophageal and brain cancers, glioblastoma, right? I mean, lots and lots of cancers. Anyway, they're getting, University of Utah's Huntsman Cancer Institute analyzed 14 studies to come to that conclusion Where am I reading that? In the SciTech Daily website. Okay, let me just see if we can do another one. Okay. Now this is what okay. In India, even so-called lean individuals often exhibit elevated uric acid. So I'm coming back to that uric acid again. Okay, let me a high protein, fat diet, eggs, meat, and cheese. High protein and fat is eggs, meat, and cheese. I mean, it's so good for you, right? Look what it's saying. Will improve uric acid and gout despite purine load. Okay, so what you'll hear, and you go look on any website, I mean it, guys. You go look anywhere on gout or elevated uric acid, and you will see the word purine. Okay? And that's why doctors, they should know better, but because they don't take any nutrition, they'll go, well, purines is the huge factor in uric acid. So get away from eating red meat and, shellfish or whatever, anything that elevates purine. But here's what the study says. Any high protein fat loss, okay, any high protein diet and fat diet will improve uric acid and gout despite the purine load, okay? Here's what this article is saying, this study is saying. Here are the risk factors in order of importance, okay? Obesity. In terms of uric acid, alcohol, fructose, I mentioned that earlier. And by far the least is purines, okay? So obesity, extra weight, alcohol. Why? Alcohol goes right to the liver. And alcohol will elevate your uric acid, just like fructose will. High fructose corn syrup is the antichrist of sugars. Why? Because it elevates uric acid. It elevates uric acid. Okay. Let me just see here. Do we got time for another one? Oh yeah, this is, okay, let me do this one. Sugar storage linked to deadly lung cancer growth. A new study, okay, I'm reading headlines here. A new study found that glycogen, remember what glycogen is? Glycogen is stored sugar. When you have sugar in your bloodstream, insulin takes that. If you don't use that as energy right away, insulin is a storage hormone, right? It stores, uses your muscles, uses your liver, and then uses fat cells, okay, to store glycogen. Listen, a new study found that glycogen, the body's way of storing sugar, may fuel the progression of lung adenocarcinoma, an aggressive lung cancer. Back to sugar again. Back to sugar. Sugar being stored as glycogen, okay? A study found that glycogen, the body's way of storing sugar, may fuel the progression of lung adenocarcinoma. Okay? Stop it. Cut the sugar out. We know that. And the other thing I brought to you before, and because you know what the number one cancer is still today? Lung cancer. Lung cancer is still the number one killer of all cancers, is lung cancer. And yet people really generally have got the memo to stop smoking. And originally in the 80s, and 90s, lung cancer rates started to go down as people stopped smoking. But then they went right back up again. And I brought this out in 2 or 3 of my, I even talk about it in Sun, Steak, and Steel. One of the biggest problems are aldehydes. Okay, when you smoked, one of the side effects of smoking was the production of aldehydes. But you know what's taking over from smoking in terms of the production of aldehydes? Those bad seed oils. Okay? So canola oil and all those oils, peanut oils, and any of those oils that were meant for your car and not for the human body, those oils, one of the side effects of those oils is the production of aldehydes in the body. Deadly for lung cancer. So sugar. So sugar. Lay off the seed oils, the middle aisles of your grocery stores, guys, where all those hydrogenated oils are. Lay off the oils, lay off the sugars. Okay, that's our session for today, guys, okay? Remember, it's Friday is what? Question and Answer Friday, okay? Thanks for watching, okay? Reporting from Denver here this morning, okay? Hey, the sun's starting to come up here. Beautiful. You see the mountains. Maybe I'll do a mountain scene if I can do that, okay? Okay, guys, we love you dearly. Talk to you soon.